This week, we're flying to the last frontier of the United States, the great state of Alaska. I'm joined on this trip by my entire family, mom and dad, brother and fiance, as well as my beautiful wife Allison, as we spend a fun-filled week in June, wading through bumbling brooks, flying in to catch a few sockeye salmon, taking a trip at sea to view whales and glaciers, as well as jigging for deep-sea fish off the coast of the well-known fishing city of Homer, Alaska. I'm Bo Angles, and I've never been one to turn down an adventure, especially when it includes chasing a monster catch. Whether it's projects, food, hunts, or fishing, we've got something for everyone. We are modern-day outdoorsmen. This is Crescent Lake, a well-known fly-in bear watching and salmon fishing destination. We land directly onto the lake, where our fishing boats for the day are anchored to floating islands of interwoven roots and moss, creating a mat of vegetation. Our guide this morning is Tyler Fritz of Fritz Guide Service. Hilariously enough, we found out on the plane ride over that he grew up in a small town a mere half hour away from us back in Kansas. But oddly enough, this was only the beginning for the slew of people we were to meet up on this trip that made their way up to Alaska from the Sunflower State. Planes continued to land and fly off with more anglers and bear watchers as the fog above slowly dissipated. Making our way along the edge of the lake, we kept our eyes out looking for schools of sockeye salmon, but due to the cloudy visibility of the water, we gave up on this venture for the time being, making our way towards an arrangement for fishing I had never experienced. At Crescent Lake, the waterfalls from the glacial runoff create a natural delivery system of small insects, crustaceans, and zooplankton, of which the sockeye salmon feed on. This meant that for all of the arriving anglers, the fish were more or less concentrated to very specific areas. Now, given the situation, you may think this would cause competition between different fishing boats. However, the Alaskans had a way of making sure everyone had a shot at the school of fish. Having a daily limit of 2 salmon each, a line of boats began to form near the mouth of the waterfall. As the front boat would catch their limit, they would exit the line, allowing the next boat to take their place. This isn't to say that it wasn't possible to catch salmon on the way to the front of the line, as the school would travel up and down the bank of the lake. It only seemed to increase your chances of catching the salmon the closer you got. This was a well-known practice over this school of fish at Crescent Lake, not only for the Alaskan guides, but also for the furry locals who emerged from the shore. This is an Alaskan brown bear, estimated to reach a potential of 1,500 pounds in weight and 9 feet in length. The coastal brown bears of Alaska are spoiled by the amount of salmon, eating up to 90 pounds of fish a day in preparation for winter hibernation. But today, this young bear is just on the search for some lunch. As time went by, the fishing action was heating up. Positioned a few boats ahead of us in line, the other 2/3 of our crew was finally landing some fish. And when the time came, Allison and I had our chance at some fish as well.
Hey, there we go. Oh, did Katie just get one? Katie just got one. Got him. Got him.
Very cool.
Yeah. Ooh, a red one. Oh, yeah? Look at that guy. Very cool. Different color on that one. What was your explanation for them turning green fresh water more time?
Yeah, he's been in fresh water a little bit longer.
Okay.
So they turn to a green head and a flush body. They would turn a deep red color the longer they sit in the fresh water.
Very cool fish. Cool colors, that's for sure. Oh, she mastered it. That was quick. Allison, it's all up to you now.
Yep.
Whoa! They're born.
With the fog now cleared and 3 sockeye each, we made our way out of the line of boats and into the middle of the lake to clean our catch, surrounded by swooping bald eagles and flocks of seagulls eager to snag a bite of our leftovers.
I did try for it.
Crescent Lake was a place of beauty, wild, untamed beauty, and was an excellent introduction into our Alaskan expedition. But right as we thought we had reached the end of our day trip, Alaska had one last gift for a proper welcome. The next morning, we traveled from Soldotna and made our way south towards Seward, a famous port city set on an inlet of the Kenai Peninsula. It's here that we'll be setting off with the Kenai Fjords tour for a day of whale watching, seal and puffin viewing, as well as taking in the sights of the surrounding fjords and glaciers. Making our way through Resurrection Bay, we passed a number of otters floating on the water's surface. And as we made our way further out of the bay, we began to see and hear the eruption of nearby whales. These for the most part were humpback whales, given away prematurely by the flocks of seagulls swarming in for the rising krill caught within the whale's bubble net. It was interesting to us that the important part of viewing whales was in fact the last part of their rise, when quick shooting photographers catch a glimpse of that underside tail. It's this identifier that can be connected with a whale viewing database, which can show you the traveling patterns of that specific whale. So as wild as it may seem to us, these whales we're viewing right now may be seen off the coast of Japan, Russia, Australia, or follow the coast of the Americas down to Antarctica. As we rounded the bend into Ayalik Bay, we began to take notice of the floating ice, as well as a few local inhabitants. These are harbor seals, spending their days sunning or hauling out on the chunks of ice, and taking a bite at the passing school of fish whenever the opportunity arises. It may be at this point where you realize whether the whale or the seal is more of your spirit animal. Passing the floating ice chunks and herds of seals, we finally made it to our destination, the Great Ayalik Glacier. We waited in this spot for a while, taking in the surrounding seals, the peaks and ice, as well as the odd chunk of glacier that breaks off every so often. A scene which, to catch on camera, requires a blend of precognition and the trigger finger of an Old West gunslinger. Making our way back towards Seward, we passed Spire Cove, a beautiful rock formation off the western shore of Resurrection Bay. Now closer to the shore, we began to see colonies of sea lions, which I remembered as somewhat cute from my time in San Francisco. However, here, these Alaskan sea lions had a bit more touch of the wild. These sea lions can reach a length of 9 feet and weigh up to 2,500 pounds, which to be honest is kind of hard to imagine. But I reckon these rocks just don't do their size much justice. The Kenai Fjords tour was an excellent stop on our trip, something that would have been a huge gap missing from our overall Alaska experience if we had decided to stay entirely on land during our stay. And would you believe it if I mentioned the ship's captain was also from Kansas? The following few days we spent fly fishing for trout and salmon on the Russian River near Cooper Landing, which, given the current state of events, I imagine will be renamed the American River any day now. But afterwards, made our way south towards Homer, where we would extend our Alaskan sea adventure to include a bit of deep sea fishing outside Kachemak Bay. Our guide during this trip is Captain Jeremy, who is joined by his first mate Rachel as they take us out to sea. Our goal during this day's outing is catching halibut, cod, and rockfish. But this time, it's not for sport, but for the dinner table. For this, we'll be using the gentle rocking of the boat to jig cutbait near the seabed, where hungry halibut actively hunt. However, it seemed the cod had other plans.
Oh my God, Grant, look what I caught! He's huge! Oh my God, Jeremy!
Oh, nice one, Mom. We gotta get everything up. Ew. Boy, they're just got a whole school of big cod. It's about time the salmon. That's right.
Luckily, it didn't take long before Dad finally put us on the board.
We can talk about it because this looks good. And if you can pull that lever back.
Oh, lever back?
Yep.
And I was soon to follow.
There he is.
All right, take out the holder. Yeah, looks like it. He's hooked good. Looks like it might be a good under.
He's an under, I think.
There's your under. He's perfect.
Perfect.
All right.
Rebait that one and get it back down there. Cool.
Halibut are known as flatfish, with both of their eyes on a single side of their body. Their top side is meant to resemble the ocean floor, while their underside, a bright white, is meant to appear more like the sky from below. This allows them to stay camouflaged from both prey and predator alike. As the bite began to pick up, we pulled in both halibut and cod, one after another.
Did you get a good one? Yeah, I can keep on.
I'm sorry, you're under, right? I do have
No,
an under.
over.
Don't bite on fish. Nice. Pretty good.
Gross.
Cool.
Yeah.
Fish.
Until Zach broke up the pattern. This is a Pacific spiny dogfish, a common bycatch while fishing for halibut and cod. This guy was average size, as they reach a maximum of 4 feet in length. But it was fun to see another fish before we sent him back on his way. And little did we know, this would not be our last run-in with dogfish while fishing with bait. With Katie's last halibut, we had officially hit our limit for the day, allowing each of us one halibut under and one halibut over 27 inches in length. Moving the boat, we geared up for cod, which involved jigging with larger jigs versus the bait from before. And for the fish we were so eager to catch during the first half of our trip, the halibut quickly became an annoying encounter.
Stop bringing it down to the bottom. Darn halibut, just come grab it.
Gonna give me some slack.
Yeah. This is wild. So many fish. Two of it right-handed gill.
Can't even get the whole thing in here.
With our jigs many times getting hit just after reaching the bottom, and sometimes even on the way down, this meant a lot of reeling, a lot of fish, and burning biceps that would make old Arnold jealous of our pup.
There we go. Here we go.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Good.
Very cool.
That's cool. Thank you, Dad.
With a hold full of cod and a proper workout under our belts, we moved once more, with the plan of trolling for salmon and rockfish. Though not something I'd had much experience with trolling fairly shallow lakes in Kansas, here on the sea we made use of a downrigger, something I used a bit of while walleye fishing on Lake Erie. With our trolling rods out, we didn't have to wait long for a bite, and luckily found our first rockfish for the day.
Thank you. Are they?
And our second. Now with a hold full of halibut, cod, and rockfish, we were about to call it quits, until the rod arched over once more. Running over to grab the rod, I took it out of the rod holder, reeling in line to make sure it had unclipped from the downrigger. Reaching the surface, we spotted the shimmer of a decent-sized king salmon. Pound for pound, salmon are some of the strongest fighting fish out there, and as the line began to peel, I was reminded once more of this fact.
In the bag. There you go.
This was my first king salmon, and although he may not be much to write home about until my next experience, I'll be happy with my catch. Seeing now the fruits of our labor spread between the four of us, I thought we had a fairly impressive haul. But it couldn't have been possible without Captain Jeremy and Rachel, who took care of us till the very end, cleaning up our 100 pounds of fillets and bagging it up for easy transport. A proper end to an amazing adventure. Over the past week, we experienced fly-in fishing for salmon, fly fishing wild trout, and deep sea fishing off the coast, as well as amazing wildlife, both on land and on sea. This was a fantastic introduction to the wild experiences available in Alaska, and certainly not my last trip. I wanted to thank my parents for inviting us along on their journey, planning out every detail, and making the most of our time in Alaska. It's an experience I'll never forget, and definitely gets me excited about our next trip to the last frontier. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe with the bell for more content in the future. Feel free to check out a few of our other videos on the Modern Day Outdoorsman, or check out Bo Angles, the largest fishing game channel on YouTube, with new videos every week.